like in that same church scene. So what if she was a cheerleader in her teenage years? I don't know what she would be cheering for, considering there is exactly one athlete in this town, and he doesn't even have arms. But anyways, maybe Caddy came to the Dreamer house in uniform one day and accidentally left the bow behind. I know it would be easier to say that it's just crinkled paper again, but the fact he specifically pulled a cheer ribbon and supports the party put the idea in my head. I really like it. Like I said earlier, the tank tie is probably a parallel to the Big Shot tie, but it's probably just some tie laying around the house. I'd have to guess Asgore's, considering how big it is. The odd controller is a knockoff controller under Asriel's bed. It's really cool that after 2 chapters of being unused or shafted, we finally get to fight the Pippins. I always thought they were like made of rudins before chapter 3, since their head is kind of shaped like a diamond, but no, I'm dumb. It's just fucking dice. Apparently the dots on dice are called pips. Huh, you learn something every day. Apart from having the coolest non-boss attack gimmick in the game,
You didn't know.
It's referred to as a camera thing, which makes me assume that it's just a camera for TV time. Zappers or TV remotes.
He also apparently didn't know what a keygen is, so...
It's just fucking stupid. Now, I've seen people try to find a meaning in the fact that it's snowing in Last Chapter 3, but I have a much less fun, logical answer for you. Remember at the end of Chapter 2 when Chris opened the front door? Well, that obviously lets cold winds in, considering that's the middle of the night in late autumn. So those cold winds turn into snow in the dark world. Hey, you know what? The pipes...
Jeez, perfect timing! I'm so hungry, I could eat it.
But maybe something on TV gave Chris anything bad, and then it feels bad for broadcasting or something. Rivik, aside from being a frog, is a parallel to probably also a dust bunny. Serious Crashy is the garbage can. He's serious because unlike the actual Crashy, this guy knows what a divorce is. And the egg you can find his bib blocks in it from chapter 4. And, spoilers, I guess, but these guys have books. He's using this book of games on the table here, since he speaks in riddles and poems and whatnot. He also might be this hermit that should have mentioned. He's one who escaped, but is not found. Magic Country is weird. One of the aces here calls it a world heritage site, which usually describes landmarks with cultural significance. And since we're not going to actually walk here, yeah, that checks out. Since the NPCs here say they're lost in the couch, maybe that's where this is. The 7 flying aces are all photocopying PS cards colored by Chris and proceeded to get lost in the
Are
couch.
you here to see
One is also
Michi?
missing. The 7th
Feel
one
free to
would be
take the
one
time
chapter
to
4,
look at the new
where
supplies,
could be the
too.
same one. But I'm gonna go with the latter because it'll make something later make a bit more sense. Now for the swordfish stuff. Eram or John Mantle or whatever you want to call him, I'm gonna push my bet to say that he's the famous Queen Armor. I mean, he's literally sprouting this sword at least in him. I know plenty of people prefer to connect the headband to Rousey, and I would too. But while Rousey just so happens to have horns, not even really horns, mind you, Eram just has a much clearer thing, kind of. So, sure. Brandon. What the fuck? And the Shadow Mentor, the other things are not identifying. But unlike Rousey, where there are plausible theories, we just have absolutely no idea what its analog is. And sure, that didn't tell me before, but those are all everyday objects that I could reasonably think of. The Shadow Mantle is clearly a magic. I mean, if you believe that the Shadow Mantle was King's Cave, it can literally fly. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like Black Shard, where it doesn't even change form in life. The famous item Flat Soda is a soda from the fridge. The soda Jesus sleep on for the entire chapter is obviously sherry, right? I don't know why one scene became this golden throne and the other became this stitched up Frankenstein monster, but sure, let's go with it. The Black Shard is the Black Shard, which I guess means that the Black Knife is real. Also, Asgore is a shard too, but their sword seems fine in chapter 4. Do they just have a whole supply of these swords in the bunker? Finally, for chapter 3 is the Grand Door, and it's open. The door to the house is open. Okay, and aside from the channel guy, that was deceptive visible. I don't know what battery acid Queen put in her fucking trouble to make it so complicated in comparison, but that's all of chapter 3. Yes, definitely, absolutely. Okay, fine, I'll talk about Mike. So, to be real with you guys, I didn't really give a shit about this character going into chapter 3, but thankfully Toby ran with that and made something very funny. But as for Mike itself, you're not supposed to see the microphone in the show. They don't act away, that's why you don't see him during chapter 3. So, I think we're supposed to know what he is. But considering this big JPEG over here, I have to get him a microphone. There you go, I've ruined the magic of television. Are you guys happy? And here we are, finish line within sight. Chapter 4, and it wasn't nearly as hard as chapter chapter 2 either. Seriously, Queen, what the hell are you on? Some of the stuff in these 3 sanctuaries gave me headaches, right at the analogs, and others just made me chuckle. Definitely the most mix of the 4 Dark Worlds so far, being a mix of straightforward verdicts and very elaborate ones. If you find Andrew's letter to Caddy I talked about earlier, get some old chocolate called ancient sweet from his jacket. I don't know why this thing feels 400 HP when it's at least a year old. I think maybe Chris just likes food. So randomly in chapter 4, this ruined cast tone turns blue. He says his color faded, which is weird. My guess is that this root is the 7th Flyings. Chris just looked at this one, didn't get it. Every color it's actually matched to the diamonds. There is also that other root in the egg room, but sanctuary pop. And this place, and by extension, the 2nd sanctuary, is the lock. They're probably just supposed to be excerpt with the Bible of whatever this religion is called. Deltarubianity. Deltism? Yeah, let's go with Deltism. For only 2 pianos, there's quite a bit of piano puzzle things. There's a much bigger contender pianos come along later. I really shouldn't put here. Singular piano. Wade's an interesting fellow. His identity is simple enough. He's a waxy spirit who eats flames. That's a candle. But why the Chinese dialogue? Well, I think it's unnecessary need. And I found out that he's literally gifted the Chinese character. And he shares a name with a spirit in Chinese folklore that brings peace to him. You know, I don't know, the guy seems kind of chill to me. These guys are called church waivers of the Bibles, which means they're those pieces of snare in the church called a waver. Because these people like that you feel like badass. These were just since he apparently sells the church choir, according to Brian's reaction to it, so this tea has the bold title of being a purple and these funny summer. Balthazar is 8 cents, away from this thing in the office. And now it's time for everyone's favorite, Old Man. Dark candy is literally just dark candy from chapter 1. Instead, you can get it by just having dark candy in your inventory. Quick will age into it by chapter 4. It is exactly the same thing as dark, so that is their virtual upstairs. Though the thing says they're now toasting, it's a sticker, and those ones won't taste better with age. They get crusty and shitty. Why are these super sucky? Now for the old man's study, which is actually just out of the study. You got the desk, he sells, and this person in the church. His lunch public, his office in public, and here begins what I like to do with Fruiter's Conundrum. So, Starbucks first games was right? It's for me, and Susan loved it. One says Chris, Rob, but I don't know when I'm working here. Let's figure this out. Look, bands. Let's take bands and power bands with hair gloves, and each one is synced. A power band with a red liquid. This is a band with amber. Oh, are they things? Well, no. I think the much more simple answer is that the bands are the poles that usually serve it. I don't know how they turn from poles to armlets, but sure. The bands are the poles, and the power elixir is the red liquid. After the refer to this, I don't know. While we guided me back to the shop, wasn't there a weaver in PCs earlier? Their pins were literally made of them. So remember at the start when I said it was incoming Rousey's weapon for this? Well, like Rousey, I lied. Only one of them that I haven't seen. The stock mark is a local, which I guess does mean that his scarves are real things, but all my special descriptions like delicate, scarf, or a sharp, and scratchy, and scarf. I can just say that, you know, there's scar person. But I'll say is that those who come to experience things in chapter 12, all like a big stuff. So no, sorry, no talking about for you. In the offices, and as we spoiled last chapter, are books of all types. About alphabet books, books when they spell words wrong, books about fire, stuff is needs for friends, and pumpkins. There's red soul cups, like that one song that was always on the radio. Also, they want the water princess because they're pups. They want the fruit juice, but no. I guess there are loves for their families, so good on them. We no longer have our precious short sheet to identify Susie's weapons. So now we have to actually think. Well, thankfully, both of Susie's weapons in this chapter are pretty easy to place. The absorbax scoops up each beam, like the label that scoops up the
every time I see you look so bewildered. Would you like me to part the mists obscuring your future for you?
It's a ladder and a couch. My genius knows no bounds. The dark zone is where Jack calls home, and not to go and take out alone, but in this closet is where he rolls, because it's dark. Like, oh no, speaking of Mr. Stein, he says that the decoration of the festival, and based on how spooky he is, I have to assume the festival is Halloween related, which would actually be kind of cool. The horrifying glory happening on the spookiest night of the year. Or there'd be a coin maze for a dungeon, the haunted theorized to be applause. Oh, and it would be a costume tool or something, that would be fun. Sorry, geez. Actually, you're up next. Give it up for... Actually, wait, what is your name? Jackenstein's Pumpkin.